Hello and welcome everybody. Tonight I'll be answering all your questions about spring beekeeping. I've been a beekeeper in Maine for 6 years now and have learned a lot over the last, 6 years. I spent hundreds of hours watching and researching bees, and so this has helped me become successful in my beekeeping. So I'm excited to talk with all of you and discuss bees and answer any questions in the chat. Till we get some questions in the chat, I'll just be discussing, what's going on here in Maine in March and where I'm going in these next couple of months. So right now today is March 15th. So in Maine, it's mud season. It's super ugly. Nobody wants to be here. They don't come till May or June or July. So crocuses should bloom in about 10 days, I would guess, somewhere in that area. One or two of them have bloomed, but those are the very first ones. So I hardly count those. I really call it the crocus bloom when we get, 10, 15, 20 all blooming at the same time. So we should hit crocus bloom in about 10 days. We got the daffodils and tulips poking out of the ground, as well as the hyacinths, still pretty far out, probably around a month out. So we're, moving in the right direction, but pretty far off. Our extended forecast is around 40 degrees during the day and about 28 degrees at night. So, very normal March weather, quite on par. I'd say we're slightly ahead of other years. I just want to make sure that everyone knows, put any questions you have in the chat. Let us know in the chat how your spring's been going. Is it early? Is it late? Are your bees strong? Are they weak? How's everything going for you so far this year, as far as your season and your actual bees as well? I just got my pollen patties in. They're sitting a couple feet away from me. I bought 60 patties from Global Patties. They're 15% pollen, and I'm going to be using those in, a week and a half or 2 weeks when the crocuses bloom. Put one on each colony, well, at least part of one on every hive. And so that should give them that advantage. So when it gets cold again, because it always gets cold after the crocuses bloom, the bees are able to heat everything back up able to keep that brood fed with the pollen patties. So very excited. We got Lee. So how's it going, Lee? How's your spring going? I think Lee's in Louisiana. I'm curious. I'm sure you're way ahead of me, but I wonder how your spring's been going so far this year. Yeah, so I'm going to be adding those patties. Hopefully it'll help increase my brood production to, just get those hives, give them a little boost, and I'll keep feeding those pollen patties till probably early May. And I'll especially be feeding them if we have bad bouts of weather. I'll make sure that all the hives have plenty of patty, because that's when you lose a lot of brood. Is the bees will cannibalize it when there's not good enough weather to fly, and so they can't get pollen. When they can't get pollen, they can't feed the brood, and so they'll eat the brood and cannibalize it, so they can use whatever resources they put into it, and regain those resources, so they can now give it back and make other brood later. So just let me know in the chat how spring's going. But that's kind of the early plan. That's what's on the horizon for the next few weeks. I'm picking up equipment from Better Bee. I picked up about $600 of woodenware last week. So it's getting to that time of year, and I'm going to design a new cover, which I'm very excited about. I'm going to make a video about it because there's no cover that's quite perfect for what I want to do. So I'm going to design my own specific type of cover. Hopefully I'll be able to tape it all so anybody can, see my design and replicate it if they choose to. We got Lee here, 87 yesterday, 80 today, and rain in the next 2 days. Yeah, have you had a lot of rain so far, Lee? Up here, it's been cloudy and rainy just all the time. It's been terrible, but that's just how it is in March. It's pretty rarely sunny. Thankfully, we're not like Seattle or anything. We do get a fair amount of sun during the wintertime here in Maine, but as of late, it's been not good. So yeah, we got son of one bees here. He's saying hi to Lee. I'll also say hi. Hi, Lee. So, we're getting into that area where you need to get all your equipment built. So I'm going to be putting together all my boxes, designing my new covers, putting together my nuke boxes that are polystyrene, and then adding those pollen patties. Another thing I'm going to do is I want to rebuild any of the frames that I broke. So last year I broke some of the frames. I do every year, and I also have some that were the comb was destroyed, so I want to replace the plastic foundation not replace the plastic foundation. I have some wax frames and replace the wax and turn it into plastic. So that's kind of my goal for that. Is I really want to kind of get all these easy stuff done before the bees get going, so I can have the maximum amount of time to be with my bees during the summer. We got Grayson here from South Alabama. Right now it is raining. Yeah, Grayson, it's raining in a lot of places right now. I think it was raining today here in Maine. We got Lee from Louisiana. Blackberries and dandelions blooming everywhere. Wow. Yeah, you're pretty far ahead of us, Lee. We won't get our dandelions blooming till like late April, or most of them late April, early May. So it'll be a long, long time. And we got Son of One, caught a swarm before the rain came in. I've actually, Ed, I've never actually caught a swarm before. I'm really excited, and maybe I'll get to this year, but I'm hoping that I'll be able to at some point catch a swarm. Then we got Lee here. And then Toothy Taco, have no idea who that is. Kane says hi. No idea who they are, but yeah, so, we're getting into the pollen patties, building equipment, getting all that stuff done. I'm trying to buy I want to buy probably another $500 in equipment, hopefully. That way I won't have any chance of running out. So, we'll see how it goes. Yeah, so we'll see how that all works out. All right, some strong, some weak. Nice. Yeah, I mean, that's how it goes. There's always some strong and some weak. It's always how the cookie crumbles. We got Lee saying hi. Son of One posting a video right now. Well, nice. I love a good video. I'll check that out after. Got Grayson here. Y'all sting that like button. I agree. If you want to see more live chats where we talk and I answer questions, make sure you hit that like button. And if you're watching on the replay, go comment down below about how your season's going. Like I said, spring, where is it at for you and how strong are your bees? I'm really interested to know how everybody's doing all over the US. And, if you're in Canada or Australia or Europe, go ahead and, make a comment, because I'm curious. I don't know how many viewers I have from that part of the world. Can't see everything from analytics. So yeah, now let's say, we're a month and a half in, or a month and a half from now, it'd be the time of year where I want to be done building all of my equipment. And first inspections typically around the 15th of April. So I'd go through every single hive, equalize as much as I can, and then I'd wait 2 weeks and then do my second round of equalization in early May. We got Mike here. Caught 6 swarms last year, none of them in my traps. Well, yeah, that's kind of how the cookie crumbles sometimes. And yeah, were they your own swarms, Mike? Were they from your hives, or did you catch them from someone else's hives? I'm curious. We got Mary here, longtime viewer. Survivors look great. Have fondant on them because it's near freezing at night in Michigan for another week. Yeah, it's around freezing, below freezing every night here in Maine. Hopefully over the next 3 to 4 weeks we'll warm up and get some nicer weather. We had one day this week that was 51 degrees, so that was really nice. I really enjoyed that day. Played frisbee with my friends, but it was really warm and the bees got flying. They were flying till 5 or 6 p.m., so it was really late in the day. We got Grayson here. My hive has 4 frames of brood and larvae and eggs. Plan to do some feeding tomorrow since it's not supposed to rain tomorrow here in Alabama. Well, I hope it doesn't rain again, Grayson, because I know that's disappointing when you want to get some bee stuff done and it's just pouring rain. No fun. But such is the life of a beekeeper. You can't really avoid it. But yep. So here we go. Yeah. So with equalization, it's something that beekeepers are really nervous about, but it's really not as hard as you'd think. As long as you shake enough bees and you choose the right brood frames when you're equalizing, it's a very effective strategy to get them all the same and equalize them really well. So it's pretty, I just think it's a very useful method. I want to go through, find the emerging frames of brood from the big hives, ideally find the queen. If you only have a couple hives, definitely find the queen. And then once you find the queen and isolate that frame of brood, put it into your smaller hive, make sure it's emerging. If the bees are emerging, they'll heat the frame really quickly themselves and the bees don't have to feed it. And so you really want to find those emerging frames of brood. So let me know in the chat, everybody, do you equalize your hives? Have you in the past? And do you plan to this spring? Likewise, if you're on the replay, do you equalize? Just curious, let me know in the comment section. Mike, I think they were from my hives, but I can't be 100% sure on that. Yeah, you never really know for sure. But I'm glad you caught them, Mike. I mean, it's certainly better than losing the bees. Do you like catching swarms? I've always wanted to do it, but I've never got the chance to, so I don't really have a verdict on that quite yet. And yeah, just put any beekeeping spring questions you have in the chat. Happy to talk about them and how your seasons are going. And so back to the equalizing idea. It's that equalizing. It's what makes everything simple. You spend a fair amount of time on those 2 or 3 inspections where you do equalize, but once you do, it makes such a massive difference because all your hives are doing the same things at the same exact time. And so when you're going out to super, you only do it once, or well, you do all the hives at the same time. So creating that uniformity saves time and just makes it more enjoyable because you're not scrambling around to do 100 different things on one inspection. We got Mike here again. Love, it is my favorite. Oh, so, swarming, is that what you're saying, Mike, that you love swarming or catching swarms? Mary here, have equalized in the same apiary but not between apiaries. Yeah, Mary, it's pretty, I don't know if you have these plastic easy nuke boxes, but they're not that insulated, and I still had no troubles putting the brood into the plastic easy nuke box and then taking it over to the next apiary and then dropping it in. So I think you'll find that that's very effective and will work pretty well. We got son of one bees. I'm pretty sure the swarm I caught was from my own hive. Yeah, it happens. I've split so much that's why I haven't lost a swarm, but we'll kind of see how that all works out. Yeah, I'm probably going to lose a swarm this year. I don't know. I just have a feeling, and I'll try to film it if I get the opportunity to, but it'll be fun to finally catch one. Feel like it's a true beekeeping experience to catch a swarm for the first time. Certainly excited about it. Got Lavender Bridges. I think she's a Mainer, or yeah, the person's a Mainer. And I don't know if anybody's seen it, but I did an interview with Bruce's Bees. Well, he interviewed me last week. It went up on Sunday. And I hope you check it out. It was really fun. I had a great time talking to Bruce. And here is son of one. I've overwintered pro nukes here in Alabama. That's pretty good. I'm impressed. I haven't heard of people using whatchamacallit, like temporary nuke boxes to overwinter, but I'd imagine you can do it. The bees are unbelievably efficient at overwintering no matter the conditions. They're really good at heating. So I thought I'd bring this because I'm selling this honey next week. Here's a nice 2-pound jar of my fall honey from last fall. It's delicious. I really like my fall honey. It's my favorite kind. It's around 15% moisture, so it's really low moisture. But this time of year, another part of it for me is selling honey. So I've got about 70-ish pounds of honey, and I'm going to drop off another case in the next week or so once it decrystallizes. Decrystallizing honey is absolutely the worst. I'm hoping I can figure out a way around it, like creaming my honey like Brian from Flower Street Bees does it. It's so annoying to have to deal with decrystallization. But Mark Johnson, going to equalize in a week or two here in North Georgia. Makes sense, Mark. I hope that goes well for you. I don't know have you equalized before, Mark? It's like I said, it's not too complicated, and once you do it a couple times, you can feel pretty confident and at ease when doing it. But yeah, super worth it in my mind. Yep, Herman. Yeah, glad you found the channel, Herman. Happy to have you in this community. And yeah, so selling that honey, building that bee equipment like mad, and just dreaming about springtime. I mean, technically spring starts in like 10 days, but really here in Maine, I would say I wouldn't really consider it spring till like May. That's when we really start to get the bee season going here. We got Mark Johnson, or Lavender Bridge, responding to Mark Johnson. I'm jealous you get to be in your bees next week. Stay chilly up here in Maine. Yeah, I'm very jealous too. It'll be at least, I'd say at the very least 3 weeks for me. I hope I'll get to film that in first inspection. It'll be about equalizing. But pretty excited. Here you are. Have you tried putting your honey in the freezer to prevent crystallization? This is from Caleb Long. I have not done that, Caleb. My family, we have a really big chest freezer, but not enough to put a ton of honey in it. So that would be something to consider in the future, but it's just so expensive to have that much freezer space with how much honey I'm going to have. I should have, many, many gallons, 50 or not 50 pounds, like 6, 10, 15, 20 buckets of honey. So I'm not, I mean, I think it could definitely work. And I've heard of other people doing it. I just haven't been able to do it for myself. I equalize all year long. It's fast and cuts down on robbing. Yeah, absolutely, Mike. That's a good point. I focus my main efforts on equalizing during the springtime, but there's absolutely a place for it during the summer. If you can keep everybody weak, it does, or everybody strong or relatively strong, then you definitely cut down on robbing a lot. Got a question from Lavender Bridges here. Rainier, question about equalizing. When you're working multiple hives, how do you stay organized? I get nervous about leaving a bunch of hives open, and I find that I get distracted and forget which hives had extra resources. So when I'm equalizing, I've already fed pollen patties for a few weeks before, so I know which ones are my bigger hives and I know which ones are my smaller hives. So when I go in there, there's some that are kind of in the middle that I'm not sure if I need to boost or not, but I know which ones are the big ones, which are going to donate brood. So when I get into the hive, I'm looking for the queen as soon as as soon as I go in. Once I cage her, find the frame of brood, I walk over to the other hive. And if I've already inspected the other hive, I just put the top back on, but leave a space to drop the new frame of brood into there. And so either one, you just, once you pull out the frame from the strong hive, bring it over to the weak hive, open them up, toss the frame of brood in pretty fast. Or if you've equalized them before, or if you've already inspected them a couple minutes before, just leave a space to put your brood frame, probably 2 frames, so you don't crush bees, and go in there, drop the frame of brood, close them up permanently, then go back to the other hive and close them up. I can understand how it'd be stressful because it's typically only around 60 degrees when I do my first equalization round, which some people say is too cold, but if you're smart and efficient about it, you can definitely do it without losing any brood. So it's definitely manageable, but it's just something you pick up with time. I've been doing it for like 3 years. I think about 3 years now. Yeah. So let me know in the chat. Is everybody building equipment this time of year? Do you have everything built? Are you going to use pollen patties this year? I'm curious. Like I've used them for a while, but and my last video was about them, but I know that a lot of people don't actually use pollen patties. So let me know in the chat. We got Lavender Bridges. Thanks. That's actually the first super chat I've ever gotten. I appreciate that, Lavender Bridges. Yeah, I love to talk about bees in any way possible. So anybody just keep throwing the questions at me. I'm excited. I was thinking of going till for another 12 or 13 minutes. So just keep firing the questions. Anything you have, spring, summer, or fall, anything about bees. I'm very excited to talk about bees. And are you guys building any equipment? I just said that, but like, are you designing any equipment? Like, I'm very excited because I'll give a little sneak peek here. I'm going to build a kind of outer cover, inner cover combo. It's got a shim built into it. It's got probably, I'm thinking 1-inch insulation, and the other part. So 1-inch insulation, a shim built into it. Then I'm going to have a hole in the middle that goes through the insulation and the wood. And I'm going to have like a plastic cap to put in there. That way I can do bucket feeding on all my hives. And so that bucket feeding, I'll be able to feed buckets. It'll have insulation to keep in the heat and prevent condensation during the winter and the summer. Then it will also, so I'll feed buckets, be able to feed pollen patties and keep in the heat. And then I also won't have to buy inner covers or outer covers. That will just do all of those things at one time. So I think that it's going to make a big difference, and I think that people will be interested in seeing that. It's also going to have some reflectics. It's kind of like Ian Sepper calls them foamies. That's going to go over the edges of the box. I'm going to staple it to the edge of the shim and then have it drip over or come over the box, because if I do that, then the gaps always form between the boxes and the covers and everything. Wood warps. It's not perfect. So having that reflectix will help close that space so less heat gets out. First super chat, great. Yeah, I'm excited. That's actually the first. Are you willing to teach grafting? So are you talking about an in-person class, Lavender Bridge? I've never done an in-person. Well, that's not true. I did an in-person class for my club. but I haven't done any like public events. I do hope to get into some kind of agritourism, as well as, I'd be interested in doing beekeeping classes in person, or, like winter beekeeping classes for beginners. Um, Definitely Lavender Bridges. I'm definitely interested in that creation. Yeah, I it's going to take me a lot of time. I feel like it's going to take me a lot of time to figure it out, but I'm excited to try it. I just feel like it fits together so many different things that other people have done into something that works for me. Lavender Bridges, yes. One-on-one work in the bees on type of classes. Yeah, I am hoping to potentially. I've had people come out with me, and my mentees, the people I've helped, have come out with me for a day and worked bees with me. So if you send me an email, I'm going to be very busy this summer, so there's no promises, but I would be able to hopefully be able to uh, host you, and you could come down and see how I work my bees for a day this spring or summer. It's very busy, so no promises, but I might be able to make that happen. It should be a fun season. I haven't talked about this in a while. I've got 18 hives left right now. I went into winter with 25, so I lost 28%, but I've got 18 hives, and I'm very confident that all 18 will make it till my first inspection in mid-April. I can't wait to split them. I'm going to make so many splits and so many queens. I'm so excited. And oh man, I actually will have dreams about bees. Like I'll get so excited sometimes before I fall asleep, especially. I'll be thinking about bees, and then I'll have dreams about the bees. But yeah, those 18 hives, I'm hoping to turn them into 40 hives, and 40 hives, and then probably I'd like to get up to about 47 or 48. So have 8 extra nukes, and then 8 extra nukes over this course of the summer. I'll replace some of my hives that are going downhill, and so then I'll have hopefully a strong 40 hives before wintertime. And that way I'll have, hopefully 35, 36 hives coming out of winter. This year I have so much drawn comb. I would estimate I have like 150 frames of drawn comb. So I should be able to grow pretty quickly this year because of that. Lavender Bridges, I will do that for sure. I'm a hard worker and happy to help in exchange for education. Nice job on the 18 hives. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I hope to keep growing. Hope to get to 40. I have an interview tomorrow for a job at a beekeeping company in Maine, so I'm pretty excited. Hopefully, it works out. We'll see. That's where I'd hope to be able to work year round, and there's some other stuff in the future that I'm not going to talk about yet, but I could have some other work experience in other places keeping bees as well. So I've got so much ahead of me, and it's overwhelming, but it's exciting too. So I'm just can't wait for those bees to get going. So it should be a very interesting year, that's for sure. Bad or good, I'm sure it will be interesting. So back on to more spring related stuff here. So do you guys use plastic or wax foundation? I know people are choosing which ones, and which kinds of boxes you're using. Do you use 8 frame or 10 frame? I've only ever used 10 frame, and I started with wax foundation because that's what they suggested at the B class that I went to. But I switched over to plastic in 2020, and first for a little bit in 2019, and then fully in 2020. So that's kind of my thoughts. I've never messed with 8 frames, mostly just because everyone uses 10 frames, so it's just kind of easier. And then with the plastic foundation and the wax foundation, the plastic foundation, it just makes everything simpler because it's just more interchangeable, much more durable and tough. Like when you're putting together frames, you can break wax foundation really quickly. But with plastic foundation, you can wax it really easily. And people say that bees don't want to draw them as well. I haven't had that personal experience. I've used a lot of both. So, call me biased, but I haven't really had any issues getting plastic frames drawn. It's more like my biggest issue is when the bees are trying to move up a box. So like if I have an undrawn honey super with no comb, and then I have a deep below it, the bees don't want to move from the deep below it into the honey super above it because there's no drawn comb. So I don't know. I don't seem to have a lot of success getting them up into that box. But if I have a drawn super, then an undrawn super above it, or vice versa, a drawn super than an undrawn super, the bees are really willing to go up there and fill the honey supers chock full of that beautiful liquid gold. Lavender Bridges here. I have 8 and 10s, mix of wax and plastic, but I want to go all plastic. Yeah, same. In 2020, I was so determined to switch to plastic foundation that I switched out, I want to say 150 frames from wax to plastic. Oh man, it was a lot of work, but it was totally worth it because the vast majority of my frames, not the vast, I mean, probably 70% of them at least are now plastic. So that it just streamlines everything, makes everything easier. And what really drove me to plastic was it drives me absolutely insane when the frames will warp if you have wax foundation in the frame every time, or not every time, but the vast majority of the frames that I've gotten, they'll warp like this. So then the bees draw a really deep comb on one side of the frame. And then the other side of the frame, right here, they barely make any comb because there's not enough bee space for it. And so then the bees can't put brood in one side of the frame. And maybe it doesn't matter to other beekeepers, but it drives me crazy. I can't stand it. I can't explain it. It just drives me insane that the bees can't use both sides of the frame for brood. So all my bad frames, here's a tip. If there's any frames you want to get out of your hive, whether they're old or just messed up or whatever it may be, slowly shift them over in your hive as the season goes on, and then put them on the side of the box where the sun, the opposite side of the box from where the sun hits it in the springtime. Almost every single one of my hives has moved to the opposite side, or moved to the side that has sun on it. So if you slowly move that crappy frame over to the opposite side of the sun going into winter, and then the next spring, your first inspection, you can pull it out and add a new frame in, and then you get rid of that terrible frame because they're almost always going to move on to the sun side of the frame, or the sunny side of the box. We got a couple comments here. Mark Johnson, I built an A-frame roof on my hives that fits on top of the inner cover and uses a rapid round feeder on them. I'm trying to imagine that, Mark. An A-frame roof fits on the inner cover and uses a rapid round feeder on them. I think that's somewhat similar to what I'm planning on. We'll see. Caleb Long here. How many deeps are you building this year? Caleb, I don't actually know if I'm building any deep boxes this year. I have like 31 or something, or 32 deeps. So I'm just building medium super. So I bought I think 5 or something, 7 last week. So I don't think I might buy and build one more deep, or maybe 2, but I don't really need deeps this year, mostly just mediums, because I want to have 10 nukes and then 30 hives, full-size colonies. Mary here, mostly 8-frame mix of wax and plastic, but black plastic helps me find eggs. Well, yeah, I know I work with 2 other beekeepers that use 8-frame equipment. And it's funny when you see it, you can even when I see it, even if I'm driving by a beehive on the road, I can tell that it's 8-frame. But yeah, it is slightly lighter, so that can make it easier. Some wax and some plastic. Yeah, that's another great reason to switch to plastic in my mind, is it just makes it so much easier to see eggs. That black plastic foundation, it's a game changer. It's so much easier to see eggs. And you can get plastic foundation that's not black, but it makes it just as hard as the wax to see eggs. So I would probably go for the black plastic, at least for your brood boxes. For your supers, you could go for light plastic so you can see the color of the honey, the hue of the honey. Lavender Bridges here. Yes, my thing with the wax foundation is how it weakened and softened in the hotter months. Yeah. The thing about plastic, though, is if you leave plastic in the sun, it melts off, and the bees don't really want to use that plastic frame anymore. They don't want to draw it out once the wax melts off it. So whenever you're using plastic frames and you leave it outside the hive, make sure that you put it in the shade so the wax won't melt off, and then the bees won't want to use it. So make sure you put it in the shade. Lavender Bridges here. Mark Johnson, what is a frame roof? I'm still kind of an A-frame roof. I'm trying to understand what that means. It's kind of interesting. Well, if Mark responds, we'll stay on for that. Trying to run all deeps, so I built 30 deeps. Yeah, that's a lot of deeps, Caleb. Your back's going to be cut out for you. It's tough. I've lifted full deeps of honey. Bob Beatty and Cayman Reynolds have both weighed the boxes on their channel, and it's a myth that they're 100 pounds, but they are 80 pounds. So they're very heavy. I hope that works out for you. But as long as you're smart about how you lift them and engaging your abs instead of putting all the weight on your lower back, you should be okay. It works out over time. But yeah, I hope you're able to expand well. I know you get that awesome fall flow. Wow, Caleb, you have been busy. Yeah, I've never built remotely close to 30 deeps in 1 year. I think the most I've done is probably like 5 or 6 deeps in 1 year. So, all right, get any final comments, questions, thoughts in the chat here, and we're gonna end it off in the next few minutes. We're over 30 minutes. Flew by like magic. But yeah, to close this out here in this last couple minutes, I'm just so incredibly excited for spring and everything that comes with it. Excited to make all these new videos for you guys. I feel like it's a privilege that I get to interact with all of you through this medium and share my passion for bees, because I really do love beekeeping and it's just so fun and enjoyable for me. We got Caleb here. Started from 1 to 12. Is that what you mean, Caleb? I think that's what he was saying, but I think he had like 5 or 6 hives last year. Yeah. So I think the chat's pretty much cleared up here, but I want to just, here's Mark here before we end this off. Roof on most, like on most houses with a feeder on the inside. Roof on most, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Yep. Caleb said, started from 112. Oh, did you build your boxes, Caleb? Is that what you're saying? Anyway, yeah, so just excited for spring, excited to keep doing these live chats every Friday, hoping to get some more guests. Got a fair amount of guests in the works, and I'm going to invite on plenty of them. And excited to keep interacting with you all via the comment section in the videos. And can't wait to see how this year goes. But thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on the next live chat or video. Bye. Hope you have a great night.